Hey, buddy, how's it going? This is a fake hello because earlier we recorded and then your mic was a piece of shit.
It was too loud.
Yeah, it's still a little loud, but I'll just fix it in post. It is what it is.
You know what's interesting? Is it too loud?
It's okay.
Are you sure it's not your headphones? Maybe it's your headphones.
I don't think so. I think it's your mic.
Maybe
It's fine.
maybe I just have a lot to get off my chest. Maybe it's just
Oh,
natural. Yeah.
maybe you should just like move the mic like a good I don't know, like 3 feet away from your
What
face.
about now? How is it now?
Yeah, just like maybe a little bit more.
Really?
Yeah, this is much better.
I have never been this far from the mic.
I think also it might not be connected to your mic. I think it might be connected to your laptop.
It's absolutely not. It says it's
Okay,
connected to
well,
my mic.
it is what it is. So we make it work. All
Yeah.
right.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, it's fine. You said you have a lot to talk about. I actually have a huge list of things to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
But very important, the most important thing that we did not mention last week. In fact, I saw the tweet right after we finished recording, and this is very important to you, which is that Jeremy Allen White has been cast as Bruce Springsteen
Mm-hmm.
in the first ever Bruce biopic. As a fan of the Bear and also a Bruce fan, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm very excited. Oh, is that too loud?
Jesus Christ.
My excitement is very loud. I am excited to see it. Obviously, Bruce has not gotten the biopic treatment yet. I don't know if I'm really ready to watch a Bruce biopic because Bruce is still very much alive. He's still with us.
Yeah,
The
do you
journeys,
feel like biopics are more for dead people?
they should be kind of reserved for dead people. Because what do you
Like
do afterwards?
Elton John had a biopic.
Did you watch it?
Nope.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's out there. He's touring.
He's touring.
He was
He's back
just
out.
playing in LA,
Mhm.
showing his breasts to everybody.
That's right. Exciting
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
In terms of the movie, I'm excited because I like Carmi Bear.
Mhm.
He's a good guy. I am worried about, people can do like a Bruce caricature, which is what you and our cousins do when you want to annoy me. Just be like, factory, working man, factory, that stuff. So people can do that. But I trust Jeremy Allen White to not do that. I trust him to do like an actual, movie role.
So here's my question about Bruce.
Mhm.
I'm not well versed in. I'm not a part of the Bruceverse.
Uneducated,
Yeah,
illiterate,
sure.
illiterate.
I'm illiterate when it comes to Bruce. But Jeremy Allen White, I've seen him in two things. I've seen him in The Bear, and I watched all of Shameless, and I love Shameless.
Yeah.
He plays an angry character.
Yeah.
He plays a very angry man. He plays a very tortured man. Is Bruce Springsteen a tortured man?
Bruce Springsteen is secretly a very tortured man, but in the best possible way because he does a lot of self-reflection. So his hurt people hurt. He doesn't hurt.
Oh, okay,
he doesn't hurt.
Okay.
He hurts himself.
Okay.
Oh
my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Hurts
not like
himself.
that, but I mean, he hurts himself through his music, and then he puts that out, and then we all get to hurt with him. It's beautiful.
Okay.
I think the movie itself is about the recording of Nebraska.
Oh.
So Nebraska was. You said it, ooh, like you care. Nebraska was, and there you go. Start looking at your cell phone right now. I saw you glance at it.
Nebraska was.
This is what
all you said so far was Nebraska was.
And you immediately lost interest. You're like, I don't give a fuck if it's a state or a college football team.
You're talking about arguably one of the most boring states that we have.
The album itself is a haunting reflection of the sadness. So this is why I think Jeremy Allen White would be good. So Nebraska itself, the album, the recording of it was in between. So 1970, I'm going to go through a whole Bruce history now. 1970s, Bruce became arguably one of the biggest rock stars in the world, right? So his
I thought
touring.
he I thought he came up in the 80s, but go on.
Dude, this is the beauty of Bruce. So in the 70s, he
Mhm.
put out two albums which were pretty well received. Then he put out Born to Run, which was like
Mhm.
the biggest album of the year.
Sure.
Super
Yep.
duper star, right?
Uh-huh.
And then he had two more albums. He had Darkness on the Edge of Town, and he had The River. Also, smash hits.
Sure.
Everything is great. He's
Yep.
touring E Street Band. Everybody loves each other. Then he goes off and he writes. Then he writes Nebraska, because the point
Uh-huh.
of Nebraska was, he's the way that he used to do it is he'd write all the songs and he'd bring the E Street Band in, and then they put the
Uh-huh.
music or whatever. But during Nebraska, he was going through like a silent, like a tough period, because the
Uh-huh.
country was, in a bad place, and of course
Uh-huh.
the people and the working man and all this stuff, right? So he
Mhm.
wrote Nebraska and he recorded it on like a little tape player, tape
Mhm.
deck by himself, and then he was going to have the other guys play on it. But the album itself was good enough. It was like haunting and silent and stuff like that. So it's a lot of darkness in Nebraska.
Oh.
It's not like a
Okay.
regular Bruce, not like a regular Bruce and the E Street Band album. So, and then from Nebraska, he went to Born in the USA, which made him like one of the biggest pop stars in the world. So it is an interesting period in the Bruce life, in the
A
life of the
dark
Bruce,
period. Yeah, a
a
dark
dark period.
period. Is Bruce Springsteen tall?
No, Bruce is like my Bruce is like my height. He's like 5'8".
No way.
Yeah, it's a little guy.
Oh, 5'8", okay.
Five, it's like he's between like 5'9" and 5'10", I think. But I think with age, he's probably my height now. But Brucey Bruce does wear heels.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, because Jeremy Allen White is a short king.
yeah,
He's itty bitty.
it makes
He's
sense.
tiny.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. The physicality
Yeah,
makes sense. Also, I think
yeah.
the shape of the face, I think, makes sense.
Do you think Jeremy Allen White is attractive?
Of course, I do. Yeah, it's
Okay.
got a. He isn't like regular leading man attractive. I don't think
Yeah.
he's got what do we call it, a lot of face. He's got a lot of
He's got
face.
a lot of face. I also think that he is one of those people that is on the edge of ugly or hot.
Yeah, exactly, and that makes him super hot. When you are on the edge of hot and
Yeah,
ugly, you can,
yeah.
and you pull it off.
It's
That's
like the other guy, Barry, what's his face from Saltburn?
very.
Barry, he was in Banshee of Inisherin and
Oh, the Irish guy. What's his
Irish
name?
guy.
Barry Keoghan. I don't know how to say his last name.
Keegan. Keegan.
Keegan. Yeah,
Keegan. Yeah.
that guy hot.
He's another.
That guy's. I mean, between the two of them, I think Jeremy Allen White is
No,
the.
certainly. I think Jeremy is more traditionally attractive,
Uh
but
huh.
they're both on the edge of hideous and just like weird looking guys. And I'm like, why are you so hot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not kicking
exactly.
either one of them out of bed.
No,
No,
never. Of course not.
unless they're
Anyway,
unannounced, then it's weird.
yeah. So speaking of not kicking men who I'm not married to out of bed, Ramadan is over.
I'm glad that the month that you had to stop kicking other men out of your bed is over. It must have been really difficult for you.
Anyway, today was the last fast,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you, I've mentioned before that when my menses start, the
Oh.
weather is better
Mm-hmm.
because God doesn't want me to be on my period and also suffer with bad weather. And guess what, Raheel? As soon as the weather got better this week, I stopped fasting.
Oh.
So I have a feeling that my theory was right
Mm-hmm.
based on just two instances that happened 1 month in 38 years of life.
What's
So
interesting is we should let meteorologists know, and they can get rid of their Doppler 3000s or whatever. So whenever it's coming up for you, rain is on the horizon.
only during Ramadan
Yeah,
though,
oh, okay.
so that I
Right.
don't have to fast. Yeah, exactly. Today, beautiful weather,
Beautiful.
78 degrees today.
Yeah.
Um, did you partake in shorts?
Did I wear shorts? You know what? I did wear shorts outside, but it was because I was going to the gym. It wasn't
Okay.
any. But when I
Okay.
went, I was like, oh, my legs are
Yeah.
pretty warm.
Yeah. It's no pants weather
Mm-hmm.
officially. Very exciting times. Um, are you excited for the end of Ramadan? How was your Ramadan? You want to give us some thoughts about it? You started off on a high note a
Mm-hmm.
couple of days ago. You got the Ramadan blues.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You feel good about yourself?
I feel pretty good about myself.
You feeling good about yourself?
We've renewed our Muslim subscription for another year. Feel pretty good about that. Click like and
Like,
subscribe. I've paid my dues. I'm good for the next 11 months. Be a complete scumbag.
yeah, exactly.
I'll say this. This Ramadan was very, very easy for me. Why did I say Ramadan?
Hmm.
Um, this Ramadan was it was kind of a delight. And I'm just comparing it to like other Ramzans that I've in my memory or whatever. But this one was pretty easy, I want to say, until the last week, until especially
Yeah.
like the last 4 days. You know what it is?
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
think, and you may have to explain this to the people, but the last 10 days of Ramadan are the holy nights, right?
Yes.
With the 27th being the holiest
Yes.
traditionally, right? I
Hmm.
feel like once you hit the 27th night,
Yeah.
and once the Khatma Quran, which is the ending of the Quran that everybody reads together at the mosque, once
Mm.
that's done, I'm kind of checked out. And then
You're
I'm
like, all right, we did
we
it.
did
Well,
it
come
exactly. Yeah,
on.
it's like I think we made a pretty good dent. I think we feel pretty good. Are we still doing this? Why are we still doing this?
Okay, as a Muslim, okay, first of all, I haven't been to Tarawih in a while,
Mhm.
but which Tarawih is, for those of you who don't know, it's this prayer that Muslims do. So during Ramadan, every night, Muslims gather at the mosque after the evening prayer, and
Mhm.
they pray together for like an hour and a half. It's like a 90-minute sprint,
Yeah.
and the imam reads through the entire Quran. And the thing is that you go together, you listen to the Quran, and then you want to align the ending of the
Hmm.
30 chapters of the Quran with the 27th night, which is
Yeah.
the night of power, right? What's embarrassing, honestly, as Muslims, is like the 27th night, if it lines up with the ending, the Khatam, Quran Khatam, it's like, oh, like it's it's popping
Yep.
at the mosque,
Yep.
okay? It is, the who's of everybody is there,
You're
okay?
like, oh, you were Muslim? I didn't even know.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, "Oh my god, there's so many different shades and colors and sizes. I had no idea
Yeah.
our community was like this," right? But the worst is, so, like, in Ramadan, the last 10 days are important,
Hmm.
and the odd nights are especially important. So if the 27th lines up with the ending of the Quran, it's popping. What's embarrassing is the 28th and 29th,
Hmm.
empty.
No,
Nobody shows up. No
everyone's
one
done.
shows up.
Yep.
Everybody's done. Everyone's done. 29th is still an important night. And the poor
Hmm.
imam is always like, on the 28th, he's like, okay, brothers and sisters, like, I know we did it. We did the thing, but like, it still counts. You still, but like, in people's minds, they're like, well, we already did the whole
We're checked
thing.
out. We did the
We
entire
did
thing, but
the
where were
whole
you?
thing.
Where were
Where were
you?
you? Yeah.
I'd like it when they double up on the 27th and the Khatma Quran, right? But
Yeah.
I believe my mosque, they split it up. And
Yeah.
the reason why they split it up is because you get to do the fundraising twice. Because you get the people
Oh,
on the
that's smart.
27th, and
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
get the
yeah,
people
yeah,
on,
yeah.
whenever the Quran ends, which I guess was yesterday. I didn't go.
Yeah, yeah,
Another,
they will shake you down.
oh,
They
yeah.
will shake you down. And you know what? It's okay.
Good.
Those are, I'm good. Good. Here, take my
That's fine.
money.
Yeah, exactly. You do a
Yeah.
service. Hey,
Yeah.
go.
Good. Good for you. We're planning to do Eid prayer tomorrow
Oh.
at the Turtleback Zoo.
Ooh.
Not at the zoo
Oh.
itself, but
On the
like
back
by
of a
the duck,
turtle?
on the back of a turtle. If you live in New Jersey, you know about the Turtleback Zoo. They have a wonderful park nearby,
Hmm.
and then they've got this like beautiful pavilion, like looking out into the water. There's like ducks that you could, the swans that you could go with, the duck boats or whatever, where you
Hmm.
go paddle boats. They got those. They've got a pirate park. It's so cool. So the first time ever, they're doing Eid prayer there at the
Oh.
pavilion.
A pirate.
Yeah.
Was it? Did you call it a pirate park?
Yeah, it's a regatta playground. It's
Oh,
very
I
exciting.
believe the pirate park was at the first Eid also, historically. Don't check me on that.
And the ducks, the paddle ducks,
The paddle
paddle
ducks.
boats.
I'm going to hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know exactly where I'm praying tomorrow. There's a couple of parks that are going to have services. I think my mosque is going to have a service. A highlight of this Ramzan for people in North Brunswick, you got to see
Yes.
a celebrity,
Yeah, Sean King,
Sean King,
right?
coming to my mosque. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, the other day our brother sent a picture of him peeking in from
hovering.
somewhere, hovering.
You know what that part was? That was when they were doing the fundraising.
Yeah, of course. Sean King was like, "I'm not here." When they were doing the fundraising, he was probably just like, no,
Yeah,
I
he's like,
don't.
I'll cash app you.
Anyway, Eid Mubarak to those of you
Yes,
celebrating.
Eid Mubarak to
Exciting
everybody.
times. Looking forward for all of you to have your morning coffee. I've been having mine for a couple of days now, as I said, but it is what it is.
Do you have any takeaways from this Ramadan? Like, are you like anything, any lessons learned, anything like that?
This is the least guilty Ramadan I've ever
Nice.
had,
There you go.
which is nice. But also, unfortunately, I mean, I don't know if I want to call it unfortunately, whatever. Like, I wouldn't say it was my most productive Ramadan. I
Hmm.
tried to read the Quran for the whole month every year. I didn't get to do it this year. Uh, those of you watching on YouTube will see the face that my brother just made. Yeah, it looks like that emoji with the S face. Yeah. Anyway, um so I tried to do those things. I just like I couldn't. I could barely just keep my head above water,
Hmm.
and I didn't feel bad about it. I was like, you know what? We're doing the best we can. We do the best we can. It
There
is
you
what
go.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the way
All
to do
right.
it. Yeah,
So
we got
that's
it.
my takeaway. There we go.
We done.
I was excited for my kids. My kids fasted a couple of times this Ramadan,
There
which
you
is
go.
more exciting. Like I was more excited for my kids than I was really for myself. For myself, it just felt like whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
Good.
yeah,
Nice.
that's it. And it was a very quick one, I have to
It
say.
was a quick one.
It was a quick one.
Yeah.
But I also am wondering if we're just like used to the summer fast
I
and
think
like
that's what it
now this
is.
is easier for
Yeah.
us, you know?
Yeah, that's a bummer because now it's going to get easier every year. And I'm going
Yeah.
to be like, well, I can't not fast. My goal is to get to a point where I can justify completely to myself no fasting, which I guess is when you get old or if you have like a medical condition for men.
So what you can do is try to get diabetes or emphysema or something
Well, I'm
in the
working on
next
both.
10 years. You're working on both between your iced coffees and your cigarette sticks. You're on your way. You're well on
Well
your
on my
way.
way. Yeah.
Well on your way. Once it gets into November, you're going to be like, "I'm good. I can't use my
I
lungs."
can't, yeah, I can't swallow. Stuff that date
Yeah.
in a pipe.
That's so messed up. Wait, I have to read you this tweet
Hmm.
because we were talking about um cigarette smoking,
Oh, God.
right? And
Is it cool
somebody
again?
well, I'm going to read you this thing. Hold on. I'm going to try to find it. Hold on. While I do that, can you tell me your thoughts about the eclipse because we've been, we had the earthquake last Friday
Yeah,
and then we had the eclipse. Do you want to talk about let's talk about the earthquake first.
sure.
Did Were you shook?
How soon after that did you start making those jokes?
Immediately.
Immediately, right? People were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
are you okay?" And I was like, "Shaken up." Ha ha ha.
LOL.
No, I haven't used an LOL in years. Over
Oh,
over 2 decades, I want to say.
okay. That's
Um,
fine.
I was at home
Uh-huh.
and the house started to shake. And my first thought was I was worried that I had overloaded the dryer.
Mhm.
Because sometimes when the dryer is overloaded, it violently shakes.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
put like two different blankets in there, you're kind of screwed, right? So
Yeah.
for half a second, I thought it may have been the dryer. Then it kept going on. And it was, I think I probably felt it for like 5 to 10 seconds. But in
Mhm.
those 5 to 10 seconds, I lived a lifetime. I was just, I was,
You were spooked.
I was spooked. I was freaked out. A couple of thoughts went in my head. The first thing was, well, if it's the dryer, and this is just, one of the problems with getting old is I was like, well, if it's the dryer, I know I have insurance on the dryer, but if the house gets damaged, do I have insurance to cover dryer damage to the
Yeah.
house? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you do.
And then the next thing I was like, well, I know I don't have earthquake insurance because we don't get earthquake insurance. I was like, oh crap.
No insurance, yeah.
And then I was just like, man, like I can't. Can you imagine living in a place where this is like a normal thing? I was just no. I don't want the anxiety. I don't like. Apparently, this is what they mean when they say you're on shaky ground. I've never really been on shaky ground before. This is shaky ground. This is
Which
what
is
it feels like.
ironic because I do think that metaphorically you've been on shaky ground many
Many,
times in
many
your
times.
I'd say you're 41 tomorrow. I'd say at least what 24 years of your life shaky ground.
Probably 24 because let's say I was probably Probably until like 14, I would say I was looked after.
Yeah,
Right?
your delinquency
Like
started at, say, at
delinquency
15.
for 14, 15, right? So then, yeah, it's just been non-shaky ground for maybe 16 years altogether.
um, yeah, I mean, I don't like it. I was at the hair salon,
Oh,
and I was
oh,
at the
that
hair
explains
salon.
it.
What?
Saying
I was
your
at the
hair's
hair salon.
messed up because of the
Oh,
earthquake.
okay. Anyway, wow, I didn't think it was messed up, but all right. I was at the hair salon, and it was like I was right on, like, the ground floor, so I thought, like, I heard the blow dryer going,
Mm-hmm.
so I just thought it was somebody's blow dryer, and then I thought, like, a truck, like, sometimes a truck will, like,
Yeah.
pull up next, and so I thought it was that, but then it went on for a while, and I looked out the window, and there was nothing there, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then we were like, "Is this an earthquake?"
Mm-hmm.
And then it stopped, and then I texted my husband. I was like, "Oh my god, are you guys okay? Did you feel that?" And then my phone started blowing up, and my husband said, "Feel what?" And I was like, "What?" And he was home with the kids, and I was
Oh,
like, "Really? You didn't feel it?" We were getting our windows replaced. So
oh.
he thought it was just hammering from the windows getting replaced, and I was like, "They're not jackhammering the
Mm-hmm.
windows to the house." Like, that was a good amount of shaking, but they never felt it. And then the kids were bummed out that they didn't get to feel an
Oh.
earthquake. Like, that's all right.
Was he sitting down? Was your husband sitting down? Do you think
I
maybe?
don't know. I don't know what
I'm
the
just
fuck he
saying,
was doing.
maybe he doesn't have a sensitive butt. Maybe he doesn't.
Hey, don't talk about my
His
husband,
butt
but
sensors are off. I don't know.
it's possible his butt sense was wrong. Okay, wait, I found the tweet I was looking for. So Annabelle DeSisto, who is a pop culture podcaster
Mm-hmm.
and also follows our account and everything, she said, "My friends and I are having a debate. They think it's weird that I find guys smoking such a turn on. Real
Oh
cigarettes, not vapes like that
no,
stupid Steven Dorff commercial. Seriously, am I the only one?" And so I just wanted to say after that, that got a whole bunch of likes, and a bunch of people were saying that a man playing with danger, willing to risk cancer, is a smash.
that's why. There you go.
I mean,
Maybe
not there you go. I'd prefer that you still don't
maybe
smoke,
that
but
should be my thing. I should just have an ashtray down here and just smoke the entire time. No.
like Mad Men.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we have the lunar eclipse, lunar or solar. I don't know which one it is,
I don't know. Is it the moon came before the sun? So is that lunar or is that solar? Because the solar is what's being blocked.
but lunar is who is moving.
Lunar is the one doing the eclipsing.
Okay,
I'm gonna
yeah,
say
the
solar.
lunar.
I'm gonna say
Okay, well,
solar.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of bitchy of the moon, isn't
Ooh.
it?
Get out of my way.
Isn't it rude of the moon to be like the sun is like, listen, we have our roles. You
Mm-hmm.
have your role. I have my role.
Yeah.
You come at night. I show up in the daytime. Like, that's it. Occasionally, while I'm setting, people see you and it's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. Oh, look, the moon's still out.
Yeah, but for the moon to be like, I'm here, and the sun is like, no, people are gonna go blind, and the moon's like, suck my dick, and like,
I'll be honest. I was looking at the eclipse. I was following
uh-huh.
the news stories. At no point did I think, hey, I feel like the moon is saying, suck my dick to the sun.
It's like a real power play on the moon's part,
Yeah.
isn't it? You like, oh, you're so big and bad.
Yeah, look
You're
me.
so big and bad. Look at me. Look what I can do. I could block you out, bitch. Like, whoa. The
Yeah.
sun is like, all right, relax. We get it.
Yeah.
Now,
I am the reason for this entire thing. You see this, right? You see everything that you guys see, the solar system, it's all me.
yeah. But also I wonder if the moon is like, try to show up at night. Try
Ooh.
me. And the sun is like, yeah, I do.
I'm here all the time.
I set at 10 o'clock in the summer. What more do you want? I feel bad for the sun now that I'm thinking
I
about
mean,
it.
it's going to kill us all eventually, but still, I do feel bad for it. Yes.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's not the sun's fault that it's going to kill us.
Yeah.
It's our fault the sun is going to kill us.
No, it's kind of the sun's fault.
I mean, it's not really the sun's fault. The sun is just there.
No, but stars expand and they eventually blow up. That's how we're all going to die eventually. Eventually, like, I don't know, 2 million years from now. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, well, that got bleak. Anyway, did you put on your fancy glasses and look up at the sun?
I did. I saw it for about, I want to say 15 seconds. And at that point, you could see the moon was starting to infringe on the site, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, okay, I get it." And that was it. That was it. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
need to
saw
see
the
anymore.
I saw the 90, I think that's where we were is like 96%. So
Mm-hmm.
we saw the crescent moon
Oh,
up here, which was nice. And then yeah, and then it looked like it was almost nighttime at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. It suddenly looked like it was like 6 p.m.
I didn't experience that. I was, I think I was inside.
Yeah, you got over it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was like,
that's
all
fine.
right. I
Yeah.
was like, all right, that's it. And then next thing you know, the sun was out again. I was like, okay. And then it started raining. And I was like, all right. I gotta say something. I'm not interested in the goings ons of space.
Nah, it's not. It's not gonna matter in our lifetime. Unfortunately, we're not gonna Star Trekky with no Spocky. We're not meeting any aliens in our lifetimes. I don't think there's not gonna be any interdimensional travel. Nothing. So space
No.
is there. Some people want to go up there. I get it. I don't think space travel will ever get to a part. Will ever get to a point where I can afford it.
Mm-mm.
So great. Space is out there. No,
It's not my business. It's not my business. I don't know. I
exactly.
don't know what's going on up
The
there.
moon's telling the sun to suck its dick. It's between them, not me.
Not me.
No.
I'm not interested. Okay? The eclipse, like nature, these things are not for me. I don't know. Like, there's more than enough for me to worry about here
That's true.
as a person. I've got humans to take care of, I got bills to pay.
You're far
There's
enough
other
removed from actual nature to have to worry about anything real,
And
right?
they're like, oh, it's like the last time it happened was 100 years ago. And I'm like, how do we know that? Who told us? How do we know that?
What happened like 5, 6 years ago? I remember there being another eclipse. What was
It
that?
was like a partial or something.
Oh, this was a full. Oh boy.
Anyway.
Your husband pointed something out about this. He did
Oh, he's
say,
such a nerd. He's oh my god, he is just the biggest space bitch out there. He said, "This is so cool. I can't wait to watch Interstellar later." I was like, "All right, grow up, nerd."
no, his point was if you were, if let's say if you were alive 1,000 years ago and you saw this, or even like 200 years ago, of course
Mhm.
you'd lose your mind. You'd be like, oh my god, the world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
That's why you have sacrifices and stuff like that. That's what people are lobbing off heads. No,
Yeah, like, but that's people were so worried that the world was going to end yesterday between the earthquake and this, and I was like, "World is going to end. It is already ending.
that's
Look
true.
around."
We got more than
Okay.
enough stuff that we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing some traveling later this week
Mm.
or next week. Actually, yeah, later this week on Saturday, I'm going to New Orleans,
Ooh.
and then soon after that, I'm going to Los Angeles, and then soon after that, I'm going to Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot of travels coming up.
Yeah.
But I don't feel confident about it because while I am not the sky is not my culture,
Mm-hmm.
I am concerned about air travel.
Well, yeah, I mean, all the planes are going down. All the Boeing planes are going down.
All the Boeing planes are going down. What's going on?
Did you watch I sent you guys. I don't know if you watched the video, but apparently Boeing, their standard of quality has really dropped in like the last 20 years, because they are using the money that they used to use for R&D into artificially pumping up their stock price. So
Oh,
people are making more money,
Jesus.
and that's the reason why everything is shit.
Brother.
Safe travels. Have fun.
Yeah, I'm worried. I mean, literally, planes are just like, they're like, yeah, the engine fell out of some plane, so we had to do a quick stop. Or
Yeah.
like every other day, you see that another emergency door opened up.
Yeah.
Do you know that like the economy plus emergency row seats are like $0 now? They're like,
Oh,
just take it for free because nobody wants to sit in them anymore.
get sucked right out. That'd be
You get sucked right out. Now, when you're in the plane, do you keep your seatbelt on the whole time?
I think so. Yeah,
I think
I
I'd
think I
be
do.
pissed if my AirPods flew out of my ear.
If your AirPods flew out of your ear, so you stay in your seat, but your AirPods get sucked out.
Yeah.
What if only one gets lost? Are you annoyed? Are you like,
Oh,
it's the worst?
it's the worst. Oh, that's the worst.
You
Like
make
if
a-
I lose my phone, I'd
yeah,
be like kind of mad.
yeah, no. I mean, that's definitely something that you want to make a comment to the. Uh, what do
If I
they call
yelled
them
at
now?
you.
Or what do they call the air hostesses now?
Damn it! I just thought about this the other day. They're not air hostesses. I can't believe we still say that.
Air
Uh,
hosti, air
no,
host,
they're called
flight attendants.
flight
We really are. I
attendants.
think you and we really are the dumbest combined 79-year-olds in the world. I want to say. So, like, if you take a 78-year-old and a 1-year-old combined, they are smarter than you and I. Knocking
So,
heads, morons.
yeah, flight attendant.
What was it saying? Oh yeah, if you lose an AirPod, that's something you say to the flight attendant on your way out. Be like, hey,
I'm gonna press the button on top. Ding!
the doors.
The door is open.
Also, not as big a deal, but I am missing an AirPod. Is there some sort of policy that you guys have?
Am I gonna get reimbursed for this, or like, what's the plan here?
What if she tries to give you like the shitty ones that they give you, the corny
Oh,
ones that make you
they're the
buy?
worst. By the way, I have so many of those
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to boast, but I am a United member.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, the only thing you get is like free headphones, basically. That's
Oh.
all you really get. So I have a bunch of them. They're so bad, and I can't get myself. It's like one of those things. Like, I'm not a hoarder, but there are certain things that I have a hard time throwing away. Like
Mm-hmm.
technology is one of them because I feel like it's not good for me to throw away technology because I'm like, what if I need it in the future?
Yeah.
Like cables, like random cables, chargers, things like that. I just have like so many.
You are
So I have
our
so many
father's.
headphones.
You are our father's daughter. So many cables.
So many cables.
So
I
many
mean, it's
like computer power cables. Just I'm like, why? What do we need this
yeah.
for?
Well, I don't have that many of those, but I do have a lot of chargers. I've got a lot of chargers and headphones.
The headphones. What do the ends look like? Are they standard headphones, or are they like the stupid plain like the double dongle
No,
headphones?
no. If I got a double dongle, that's going in the trash. Keep your double dongle away from me.
Especially during Ramadan.
No double dongles.
No double
No double
dongles
dongles.
for a month.
You know what? There is a saying and there's a belief amongst Muslims that during the month of Ramadan, the devil is shackled.
Yeah,
And as soon as Ramadan ends, the devil comes out to play. And
that is
between this
true.
conversation, they are present.
The devil is definitely present. The devil's been present since 7:34 p.m. That's when Ramadan
Yeah.
was officially over.
So anyway, good luck to me, I guess, when I travel. I don't know
Oh,
what's gonna
yeah.
happen.
I didn't know. I didn't know if you were looking for well wishes or what from my end on that
No,
travel
I
thing.
just wanted to share my anxiety with you.
If you get sucked out, does the podcast continue?
You would have to get on. First of all, you don't. I don't think you would because you don't have any of the stuff.
I don't
What are you
have.
gonna do?
I don't know how to upload anything.
I
I don't
don't
know
know.
how
I
to.
don't know.
I don't know. Apparently, I just learned how my mic works. I'd be so screwed. Can you
Yeah.
leave? You leave a notepad with all the passwords and stuff in case I want to get to it. I want to update people.
Okay. Fine. All right. Fine. All right. Well, hopefully I don't
I
die.
write to you with a heavy heart. Noor got sucked out.
in a great moment of irony, all that's left behind are her AirPods.
That would be amazing. If you get sucked out but the AirPods stay behind, that is a violent death.
Anyway, hey, women's sports. You want to talk
Ooh.
about women's sports?
Yeah, the broads with their balls and stuff.
So
Yes.
Iowa and South Carolina played,
Yes, it did.
and Iowa lost.
Well, South
Carolina
Carolina won.
Yeah, I know.
That
I'm
should
just
be
pointing
true.
out that Iowa lost because you're Caitlin Clark man.
The Caitlin. I mean, everyone's a Caitlin Clark man.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark person. But yeah, it was. Did you watch the game?
I watched it here and there.
It was exciting. It was a good, exciting game. Caitlin Clark came out very hot in the first quarter. She scored 18 points. It was amazing. And Iowa had a big lead, but South Carolina is the better team, and they should have won, and they won. So all in all, very good tournament. Really built up from where it was last year because these storylines continued. And then next year, Caitlin Clark is going to go to the WNBA, and it's going to be great because a lot of people are going to come out and watch her. So it's going to be good for WNBA attendance just because people are going to be
Mhm.
following her. But I hope what it also means is that people are going to be watching other WNBA, and they're going to come back for like college basketball also because yeah, Caitlin Clark is leaving, but Paige Beckers is coming back next year.
Yeah.
Juju Watkins from USC, the two South Carolina freshmen are coming back. There's a lot
Yeah.
of good stories that if you want to follow,
I was
keep
going
up.
to tell you about Juju Watkins
Oh,
today.
what about Juju
Yeah.
Watkins?
She's a freshman who has scored more points than Caitlin Clark in her freshman year. So,
Ooh, Juju Watkins is very good. She is
yeah.
awesome. She's going to
Yeah.
be
So
awesome,
that,
and that's the exciting thing, right? So that is the positive of having somebody like Caitlin Clark because then you watch the other games also, and now you get to follow other people, like other
yeah,
storylines and
exactly.
stuff. And then if you have time, you can go back and you can watch other old stuff. Watch a Maya Moore thing if you want to.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to talk to you about this thing that happened with Dawn Staley, the head coach of, is it Staley? Is that how you say her last name?
Yeah.
The head coach of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like leading up to the final game, she was doing like, they were doing press conferences and stuff. And somebody asked her about trans women in sports,
Mm-hmm.
about her opinion on trans women in sports. And the guy who asked the question was like, this is a major issue that's been coming up a lot. It's a really important issue. What are your thoughts about trans women in sports? And she just looks so fucking over it because I really like her. I
Mm-hmm.
really like Dawn Staley.
Yeah.
She looked like she had had it.
Yeah.
And she was like, she said, if you're a woman, you should play.
Yeah.
If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports, you should play, and vice versa.
Yeah.
That's it. And he was like, so you think like transgender women should be in sports? You think that that's it? And he was like, she was like, is that what you're asking me? If that's what you're asking me,
Yeah.
that do I believe that transgender women should be in women's sports? I'm telling you, yes.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that? And it was like so rude because it was like, this is a question you're asking a women's college basketball coach. First of all, you wouldn't ask this question to a man, right? Like, this is the issue, is that you don't ask these questions to men. You don't worry about these things. Also, it's not the biggest issue that's coming up in women's sports.
Yeah.
There's been like less than 50 trans athletes ever in the history of any of these sports. There's like a 500,000 college athletes, and of them there's been like what, one or two college like trans women in sports or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like not this pressing issue that they're bringing, but they brought this issue to specifically a black coach,
Yeah.
a black female coach, as if it's like this big thing that like she needs to solve for, when like this is not a pressing issue in sports. The bigger issue in sports is like especially women's sports, is that there are men who decide how much money women should make or how much coverage women should get in sports. It's not actually about, like, trans women is not an issue in
Yeah.
sports, especially not, number one, not in the game that Dawn Staley is coaching, not
Yeah.
in the division that she's coaching. So I don't understand why. So anyway, it was really annoying, but I really liked her answer because she was like, "This is fucking dumb.
So
Why are you?"
this is the first that I'm hearing of it. Um, there's a lot of sports media that's happening right now that is just it's so obviously sports media is basically an opinion industry, right? So like you have the games and you can talk about the games only so much about the ins and outs of the games and how people scored, who won, blah blah blah. The rest of it is just you create all of these narratives because you have to fill up time, right? And that's, as a sports fan, a lot of that stuff is very exciting and fun. It makes it all very, very fun to watch and follow, right? So that's the reason why First Take and all those things are very big. There is another side of sports media that's happening now, which is people are taking their political views and they
Mhm.
are trying to shoehorn them into sports topics, right? They're people like Barstool Sports. I don't know if
Uh,
Barstool Sports does this, but they would definitely want to create basically controversy, right? There is a company called Outkick the Coverage, I believe it's called.
uh-huh.
That guy used to be a writer for Deadspin, and now basically all he is he is just kind of like a conservative troll. So anytime there is a sports story, he tries to shoehorn in some sort of political thing, some sort of Donald Trump thing, I wouldn't be surprised if the person asking this question was somebody from Outkick. Outkick the
Ugh.
coverage, I think it's what it's called, right? And that is the reason why this question was asked. The question was asked so that they could get a response, and then they could write some bullshit story about it and put like a tweet about their bullshit story, send it out there, and then have just people fucking reply to it or retweet it and just basically manufacture a story on its own, right? The
Yes.
sad part about it is, again, like you mentioned, you are taking the opportunity. Like, this is like the crowning achievement of Dawn Staley's coaching career, right? This is She coached a perfect basketball team. That is an incredible thing. Her
Mhm.
basketball team lost one game last year. She is by any means she is there's more than enough like meat on her sports accomplishments that you can just talk to Dawn Staley about that. You can talk to Dawn
Mhm.
Staley about all the great things that she's achieved. Like, I've known Dawn Staley since the 1996 uh, women's dream team. Basically, that was like the
Mhm.
famous dream team, right? So she's been around for a long time. There are more than enough topics to discuss with her. This is somebody just trying to create a narrative for no reason, right? That 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 um, that topic of transgender athletes, especially female athletes, in sports, it's a very complicated one, right? And
Mhm.
it requires a lot of conversation. It requires a lot of, it requires a lot of nuances. And the
Mhm.
people that are pushing these stories aren't interested in any of the nuances.
No.
They just want to be like, well, so what this person is going to do is just be like, okay, oh, Dawn Staley said that she's okay with men playing basketball, when playing
Yeah,
men
some
playing women's
bullshit
basketball.
like that, yeah,
Next
because they
year,
don't.
yeah, next year, let's get the Purdue men's team to put on wigs and play that.
Ugh,
Like,
God.
that's the conversation that they want to get going, right? Which is a bullshit conversation, and it's like, like, why are you having this conversation in front of the women's national championship game, right?
Yeah,
Have this
so
conversation. Ask a man about how you feel about having a trans, male athlete on the team. But you're not going to do
well,
that because,
but they never ask because it's always about, like, it's always sort of baked into this, like, concern for, like,
mm-hmm,
the protection of women
yeah,
against men, right? But, like, that's actually not your concern. You don't actually care about women, because if you cared about women, again, you would be concerned about the fact that the bigger pressing issues are the amount of coverage that women's basketball gets,
yeah,
the amount of pay women get in sports, like the wage gap, or the inequitable conditions that female athletes are subjected to compared to male athletes. That's a bigger issue
exactly.
than the one trans athlete that we hear about every few years.
Exactly. And if you want to bring like a social commentary or a social story to your coverage, how about you ask a Texas women's basketball player what she would do if she needed an abortion, right?
How about that?
How about that conversation? That
How
is
about
way
that?
more pressing and way more of a realistic thing that people have to face than your bullshit, hypothetical about a transgender female playing basketball. So it's just dumb.
Yeah. Ugh, so dumb. Final thought. And this is something that I have been thinking about
Hmm.
for a little while, and I didn't know how to, like, bring it up. So last week we sort of just touched on it, but I want to talk about the the death of or the killing, the targeted killing of the 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers
Yeah.
in Gaza. So we heard about this, like, last week. I think it's been about 10 days, I think, since this happened. It was really tragic, awful. But I wanted to talk about it because I've seen that there's, like, a major shift in public opinion and how coverage is happening in the United States in, like, prime time television. Like,
Hmm.
Colbert has talked about it. Like, they've mentioned it. Like, Padma Lakshmi's used her platform to talk. I mean, she signed a ceasefire, like, petition a long time ago or
Yeah.
whatever, but or like a letter for ceasefire a while ago. But there are more and more people now. Like, I mean, it's fucking bullshit. Some of it, like Katy Perry leaving broken heart emojis on, like, Jose Andres, the chef's uh Instagram and stuff, like the World Central Kitchen Instagram and stuff. Like, it's okay, fine. But there is this shift that I've noticed now that there is in the United States after these 7 aid workers were killed. And I've been having a lot of feelings about it. And I think one of the feelings I've been having about it is actually anger
Yeah.
and like frustration, because it again sort of exemplifies that the 30,000 dead Palestinians was not
Yeah.
enough for that to be outraged, because those 30,000 dead Palestinians, like, who said that
Yeah.
there were 30? Do we even know that there were 30,000? Like, it's so, it like adds to the dehumanization of like Arabs and Muslims and specifically Palestinians,
Yeah.
that like their on the ground coverage is not enough for you to believe what is happening to them. You need Westerners that were there, that were killed, to in order for you to suddenly realize that how inhumane things are.
Hmm.
And these are not the first aid workers that have died.
No.
These are not the first aid workers that have died. And World Central Kitchen has actually been raising issues with how the Israeli military has been moving in Gaza for a long time. Other aid organizations have mentioned it too. They shut down UNRWA, which is like the refugee organization from the UN. Like, there's been so many people clamoring about the
Yeah.
conditions in Gaza, and these 7 aid workers died. And because these 7 Western, well, so I think there's actually Arabs in there too,
Yeah.
but because these 7 people that were working in this humanitarian organization that was run by a celebrity chef, because they died, now suddenly, now it seems like that's enough to like move the needle to for people to care. And while I'm glad that they care now, it's still one of those things where it's like, fuck you for taking that. It's been
Hmm.
6 months.
Yeah.
We're now 6 months into this. It's been half of a year. 30,000 people are dead. 2 million people are displaced. Like, there's no question anymore about what is going
Yeah.
on the ground in Gaza. People are starving to death. Like, children are dying. Like, they're 3 months ago, they were trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. If you don't want to hear this, please go ahead and skip ahead. There were, dead babies in the NICU that were found in hospitals
Yeah.
because they couldn't evacuate. And that wasn't enough, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I just like I've been feeling a lot of frustrations, even with like I've told you a little bit about it, about sort of the way that even being a Muslim in the West and trying to work with people who are like liberals,
Yeah.
who say that they care about you, how how our grief and how our trauma is still sort of needs to be packaged up in a way that is palatable or understandable to
Yeah.
the Western brain. And it continues to make me feel the like intense dehumanization that like the unlearning that still needs to happen in the eyes of the Western world
Yeah.
for Muslims and Arabs and people of color.
Yeah. Now it's the aid workers. I think even before the aid workers, I mean, in terms of the narrative about this conflict now, right? I feel like most people, at the very least, now recognize the fact that even if they don't want to call it a genocide, but just how unbelievably fucking one-sided this whole offensive is. Like when you
Mhm.
look at the numbers, it's fucking crazy how
Yeah.
much one side has been pummeled to the ground. And when we say one side, again, these are children.
Yeah.
Half of them are children. They're
Yep.
children that have bombs dropped on them, right? You see it's that emotion that you're talking about, the anger that is justified. Um, because you do feel that way. You're like, yeah, it's I am so sad for those 7 aid workers because that is a person that is giving their time. It's something that I would never do because I'm too
Yeah.
selfish. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
have I don't have the capacity to do it. I can't imagine the type of person that goes somewhere else in a war zone just to try to feed people.
Yeah.
That is a saint of a person.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, they died, and then you figure it, well, they were actually killed, and then you figure,
Yeah.
well, they were actually hunted, right?
Yeah.
And then you hear that story, and it's like you need those 4 things to happen before people are talking about it. Because if the
Yes.
7 aid workers died by just sheer accident, which it happened by accident. I don't think Israel meant to kill aid workers. I don't
Oh, they
know.
did.
I don't know, right? I would
Well,
think that
the IDF did their own investigation into their own killings.
sure.
So, super unbiased reports, I'm sure, coming
Sure.
out of that.
But even
You know?
then, I think logically speaking, it does not behoove Israel to target and kill aid workers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's a bad look for Israel, and it brings on heat like this, right? But all of those things needed to happen for even this storyline, or for even this story to kind of catch on and for people to
Mhm.
talk about it, for it to rise to the level of Katy Perry. Thank God she got a chance
Put
to
a
get out.
heartbroken emoji
Yeah,
on
thank God, because
Instagram post,
American
yeah.
Idol auditions there. That stuff, it makes you dizzy. Anyways, that's the part that's so frustrating. It's just like, and also kind of in how we talk about it. Every time that we have talked about it, I think we make it a point to say there's a difference between Israel and Jewish people, and it's very easy to fall into anti Semitic traps, right? And we
Mhm.
do that every single time because it is important. And it's important
Mhm.
because we've seen people fall into those traps, and it's very, very easy to do that, right? And
Sure.
it's like you do that every single time. And you talk about how awful October 7th was because it was awful. And
Yeah.
you feel like, well, I need to kind of make sure that I am paying attention to this one part, that I say, that I declare how awful I think all of these things were, just because I want to get sympathy for the 30,000 fucking people that died. Like,
Yes.
think about those numbers. And that's the
Yeah.
frustrating part. That's the part that kills you. You're just like, I understand you want to make sure that nobody gets offended. You want to make sure that you highlight suffering on both sides, because there is. I think each life is important, right? But if each life is important and that's how we should be looking at it, then really let the 30,000 lives, let that impact you. Don't just look at
Yeah.
it as a number. Think about 30,000 lives, 30,000 dreams, 30,000,
Yep.
hopes and all those things. 30, 15,000 kids that
Yeah.
were murdered. Think about those, like actually think about it. Don't just
Yeah.
dismiss it because it's a big number. So
Yeah.
it's all very
I know.
frustrating.
It's frustrating also because, like, as you're saying this, like, sort of disclaimer, right? Like, that you have to almost disclaim the fact that October 7th was a horrible thing. You have to disclaim the fact that, like, this isn't an attack on Jewish people or Jewish faith. This is a critique of a particular army and all these things. Like, I think that that's also frustrating as a person who is watching people die.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to be like, um, it's almost like I feel like I have to disclaim it
Yeah.
because otherwise if I don't, the assumption will be like, well, then you're anti-Semitic,
Yeah,
right? Or
exactly.
and I think that that's frustrating, right? It's like, why is that becoming a topic when I'm raising a concern that 15,000 children have been killed?
Exactly. The
And so I
15,000
think that
children should be enough.
yeah, and I think that the issue there is that there is this belief that we are all inherently, like, Arabs are inherently anti-Semitic, or that Arabs are barbaric in a particular way where
Yeah.
they have to qualify themselves as peace-loving Muslims before they can get
Yeah.
any ounce of empathy or sympathy,
Yeah.
right? And when it's like, no, we're all just fucking human beings who deserve all of that in the first place. So, like,
Exactly.
I don't know. I had this was on my mind. I'm also just frustrated with, like, the way that a lot of times, like, the Muslim experience still has to be packaged into, like, this, disclaimered, palatable ex- explanation before
Hmm.
you take me seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that's really frustrating. And even in the work that I've been doing, like, locally, that's been something that's been coming up where I feel like my feelings as a Muslim woman, my
Yeah.
feelings as a brown woman often need to be sort of like packaged up in a way that is palatable for the general
Yeah.
audience. But those aren't my words a lot of times. Those aren't my words, or those aren't actually my feelings, but we're going to change it so everybody feels good and happy about it. And it's like, oh, but that's not really what I was trying to say. And I don't think that I should have to mask my feelings and put my feelings into, like, a nice Western box to be
Yeah.
understood. My feelings should be understood because I'm a Muslim woman who is seeing her people under attack.
Yeah.
And that should be more than enough.
Exactly. Because, I think what we do with, like, making those like we declare stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
The reason why we do it is because we're saying, hey, I'm a human being just like you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, just so you know, I have the same values as you in terms of saying that when terrorists attack innocent people, I also believe that that is a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yes, I understand I have to do this little play acting, not play acting, but whatever it is, I have to make things easier for you, right? But it's also like, well, if I'm a person and I'm telling you about my people,
Yeah.
really think about the people that are dying, the 15,000
Yeah.
people that are dying. I'm doing this. I do this thing for you. Just so you think that I'm okay. I'm an okay person to talk to. Once I do that, really listen to what I'm saying. Right.
Yeah. But also stop making people have to do that.
Yeah.
Stop making people have to disclaim that they are like a decent human being before you're going to take them seriously,
Exactly.
especially when they're talking about the murder of 30,000 people and displacement of 2 million, you
Yep.
know? Anyway, sorry to bring it down.
Seriously, we started on such a fun Muslim note with you telling the moon to suck its cock because the holy
We
month.
started off on such a happy note about me getting sucked out of an airplane.
Oh man, what if you die that way? That is gonna be. I think you think the numbers go up that week.
I'll be pissed because I'm not going to be able to reap the benefits of
That's
it. You know
true.
what I mean? So
There you go.
good for you, I guess.
Wait, do I get the podcast? Who gets the podcast in your will?
I think you do. I think you know what? I watch you and Arthi take over the
There
podcast
you go.
and make it number one. Be like, oh my god, all we needed was for her to get sucked out of a plane all this time.